Welcome to the Farm Family Harmony podcast. I'm Elaine Fraze, Farm Family Coach, here with another episode full of transition tips, tactics, and sometimes hard truths to get harmony on your farm. Hi, it's Elaine Fraze, Farm Family Coach, welcoming you to podcast episode 8, Culture Beats Strategy. And today it's an interesting thing because we've heard me speak with Lance Woodbury perhaps in our last podcast, and he corrected me around Peter Drucker's famous quote, "Culture eats strategy for breakfast." And I've been going around the countryside saying culture beats strategy. So I guess that's the Elaine Fraze transcription of the Peter Drucker quote. Regardless, I'm excited for you today because we're going to talk about things that don't cost you money, what will make a huge difference in how happy you are on your farm, and particularly as you go through your farm transition. So first off, what is culture? Culture is the glue, and I've got a bottle of Gorilla Glue here, that holds your farm team and your farm business and farm family together. And basically, I have distilled it down into what I call 3 basic words: believe, behave, decide. And part of that is how you're going to encourage the heart of your business. And a long time ago, I had a seminar I used to do called Encouraging the Heart of Your Farm. And I'm just going to read off to this little piece here because I think it's very helpful in helping you understand the culture of your farm. And this was put together originally by Doug Stroh, who's given me permission to use this. But I also use this a long time in my thinking in terms of getting to the heart of the matter and dealing with the emotional factors affecting planning. So do you have a clear sense of purpose and values? Our outside perspective welcome, which we talked about in an earlier podcast when we talked about getting to the table, being able to see the other person's perspective. Is personal growth encouraged? Is there open, clear communication? Is there a high level of trust? Are you willing to accept differences? And I always say different is not wrong. It's just different. Do we have clearly defined roles and responsibilities? And on our farm, those are definitely changing as my husband has got, aging in place, and he's stepping back without stepping away, but he's not the main manager anymore. So his roles and responsibilities are much different. Is there a balance? And some people think there never can be a balance between work and play. But what is that infinity dance that you're doing between work and play? Are you having regular discussions with action, which is all about this podcast, is getting communication and conflict resolution done in a good fashion? And is there accountability? So encouraging the heart of your farm, what creates a good culture, according to Doug Stroh, is purpose, perspective, growth, communication, trust, allowing differences, being clear about roles and responsibilities, having a balance between work and play, regular discussions with action, and accountability. So another thing we can think about is in terms of what you believe. Do you believe it's important actually to give courage and encouragement to other people's hearts? Is there motivation to do better? Are you positive? Do you celebrate milestones? Do you listen to what other people need? Are you a good example? Are you a compassionate leader? Do you expect people to succeed? And do you communicate high value? All of these things are part of what you believe to be true. And in our practice, we do have a value style indicator tool that you could do online to get really clear about what you believe to be true. At Fraze Family Farms, we have zero tolerance for dishonesty. So you would never say something, "I'm not going to lie to you." You wouldn't even have to say that because we expect everyone to tell the truth and to show up with integrity. Have another high value around teamwork is that we all do the jobs that need to be done regardless of rank or social order on the farm and who's been there the longest. It's a job that needs to get done. Everybody pulls in the same direction. We also have a value for no profanity. You won't hear any swearing or profanity happening at our farm, because that to us is not helpful behavior, not great language. And in terms of conflict, that's not something that is tolerated. So the next piece, after what you believe to be true, is how do you behave? How do you behave towards each other? And what energizes you for good behavior? We all know that if there's a saying that I've used a couple of times, is that you can't hug a porcupine. So if someone is giving off a lot of what in conflict we call pinch points or tension points and is being quite negative and nasty, my curiosity, hey man, what's going on for you? Did you not get in a good sleep last night? And actually, that's a great question to ask on your team. Did you have a good night? My son and daughter-in-law live right next door to me, 159 steps from my back door, across the shelter belt to their back door. 3 children under 6. A lot of nights are very short and interrupted, and it's hard in seeding time and harvest time and spraying time, which is a lot of time on the farm, especially if you're livestock owners. You have a lot of young parents farming who are really, really tired. So cut those people some grace and some slack. Did you have a good night last night? Do you need a little extra more and a little extra grace today? Because you're not firing on all cylinders, because physically you're exhausted. So what is the behavior that you accept? And I'm shocked in some of the discovery calls I do and some of the one-on-one coaching I do with what some people feel is normal behavior. I remember one young man in Saskatchewan who said, Elaine, every morning as I come to the shop, my dad drops an F-bomb on me every morning. I said, seriously? Why are you still there? And he had no idea. He had no idea that that was not healthy emotional behavior in terms of how other people were behaving. The last part of the culture piece, believe, behave, is also around decision making. And we'll get into that a little bit deeper. So first of all, what is it that you believe? Do you know what you truly value? Because if you aren't happy in your current farm transition situation, it's likely because you might be like me and value independence. I've been a speaker for decades. I've been a writer in Grain News for almost 30 years, 28 years now. And I have a coaching practice. I've been a certified coach for 2 decades this June of 2023. I've had a lot going on besides being a farm support partner, and I'm not out driving the combine anymore. I don't have to, but I'm here in a very traditional role of support to my farm team. And I'm a wife, a mom, and a grandma. I wear a lot of hats, but independence is a high value for me. So I'm happy. And my family has said, Mom, we really like it how you are when you get back from a really successful speaking trip, which is code for you're happy if you get off the farm sometimes to go and serve people in live events. And we can talk about that because their value is more to stay on the farm and be part of the team here. Different is not wrong. It's just different. So what is it that you truly value? Another one of my core values is intimacy, which is to love and be loved and have high friendship relationship ratio. And it's hard for me in busy seasons when I don't get to spend time with my friends. And I make adjustments for that by phoning and staying in touch that way. Now, some of you have parents or farm partners who don't have any friends. All they do is work. They're workaholics. And let's be honest here, folks. Agriculture is full of people who are working, but are lazy in relationship. And they get a little crusty sometimes because they don't realize that actually everybody should have some friends and emotional support beyond the farm gate, beyond the immediate nuclear family or the people who are doing most of the work on the farm. So this whole thing about culture is what's making you attractive to be together working as a farm family team. It's also what's making you attractive to pull other people into your team who are non-family. So we have a fellow from South Africa who works with us, and we have a young man who's just got his MBA, who is a lifelong friend of my son's, who is doing amazing things in our farm office. He comes from the city. but don't judge him. He has his class 1. He can drive heavy equipment. And he has a very fascinating resume. But he loves the culture here because everybody has aligned value systems. Many people on our farm team also have a strong faith view. And so when there's conflict, we have a model of forgiveness that we operate from, and we expect the best of people because that's how we're wired and that's how we want to show up. So being able to describe what you value and know that your values are aligned is really, really important, because if your values are disconnected, if you value independence, but you're always forced to be working alongside someone else, you're not going to be a happy camper. If you value relationship and friendship like I do, that's really, really high, then you need to have time away and time connecting with other people other than just the people in your immediate farm family circle. So pay attention to what you truly value. The other thing I want you to do is to be able to vocalize when you're not getting what you need. And so there's a great framework in the book by Dr. Marshall Rosenberg, which you'll hear me in these podcasts mention often because it's one of my new favorite books, Nonviolent Communication, where he talks about observing behavior. What do you see going around you? Make an observation. Then ask about people's feelings, and then really express truly what do you need in this moment. And that is just a very powerful question to improve the culture of your farm. And many of you know I have a depression story where I came through a very severe worst case scenario my psychiatrist had seen in 21 years of practice. When I gave birth to our daughter in 1984, I spent most of that year in a psych ward, getting better from a very extreme case of postpartum depression, where the only thing that helped me get better were 23 shock treatments or ECTs. And I'm so thankful that I've been well for 39 years and I don't take antidepressants, never have. I was drug resistant. Anyway, why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because we get into these spirals of mental unwellness or mental illness, and there may be an incident that causes that circumstantially, and it's not something biochemical like what I had with postpartum depression. And there's 7 different kinds of depression. But the stats for farmers are not happy. They're not good. Over 75% of farmers are not in a good emotional place, according to some of the latest surveys. 25% of them have suicide ideation. These are people who are in this downward spiral of not being well. And wellness is tied to your culture, to your circumstances. If you are getting what you need and what you value, then you will be aligned and then you will be much happier. And I'm not prescribing or describing a prognosis for mental illness. It could be a disorder that's long-term for the rest of your life, has to be managed, something like bipolar or depression or anxiety. Or it might be something circumstantial that's an incident, a bump in the road that you can get through, and then your life is much better. But why am I telling you this is because there's different reasons for behavior to shift. And some of you maybe experience really nasty, conflictual, tense, anxious, depressed behavior. And you're just throwing your hands up in the air and say, I can't do this. Like, what is going on? And so my curiosity is, have you been to your family physician? Do you have a family doctor? Can you go and ask for the depression test, which are 9 key questions that the doctor will ask you, and depending on your answers can maybe diagnose whether or not you may or may not have a low-grade depression or some kind of other mental health challenge that you need to navigate medically with treatment or with therapy. The other thing is that you also may have an unwritten code of conduct in terms of how you behave in your farm, that we don't talk about hard things. We just go to the barn, or we just get on the tractor, or we just hop in the truck and go check the fields, and you avoid the hard conversations. And we'll talk more about that when we get to our section and podcast on Discuss the Undiscussable. So you have to know that conflict is a normal part of life, and you get the behavior that you accept. So my challenge to you in this podcast with Believe, Behave, Decide, the glue that's holding your farm team together, is why are you accepting bad behavior? And if you don't have the resources to navigate solutions yourself, then reach out. Contact the National Farmers Mental Health Alliance. Reach out to Do More Ag. Find people who have resources that can give you people in touch to create support for bad behavior or what you suspect is an ongoing chronic condition that people just aren't paying attention to or seeking solutions for. And then also give your mind a shake about what you think about conflict. Conflict is not bad. Unresolved conflict is bad. And what you want to do is create solutions with better behavior and attacking the issue, not attacking the person. The last piece is how you make decisions. And I am blessed to be in a 42-year relationship of marriage with a man who was raised by a very smart, business-oriented mother, a father who was also a preacher, and 3 older sisters who made sure that he had very good ideas about what women could and could not do, which means I am respected for my opinion, and there's no gender bias here. So on your farm, who makes decisions? Is it autocratic or is it democratic? Is it collaborative or is it authoritarian, dictatorial? I remember a recent coaching conversation where the spouse said, Elaine, my husband has a very autocratic leadership style, and that is what's keeping us stuck. And he didn't like to hear it, but sometimes the truth and shining a flashlight on a hard situation is the beginning of the next step of creating solutions. And so I'm challenging you to think about how are decisions made on your farm, and is there collaboration? And if there isn't, do you need help from the outside in terms of mediation or facilitation through coaching to make that happen? Also, are you having regular points of communication? Remember in this little note by Doug Stroh, pardon me, he talks about regular discussions with action. Talk does not cook rice. So we can talk about having a lovely culture. We can talk about what you value, what you believe to be true. We can talk about not accepting bad behavior on your farm. But ultimately, talk does not cook rice. You can listen to this podcast 3 times, and I invite you to share it far and wide. But nothing is going to shift unless your actions shift. And in conflict resolution, there's a very key piece called intent, action, effect. Intent is in my head. You have no idea what I'm thinking, feeling, needing, and wanting, unless you ask me very powerful questions like, what if this happens? And then I'll explain what my scenario would be or my solution. And you will hear that. And then you will feed back to me the effect that my comments or behaviors have on you. So we need to be able to have some way of having a guidebook or a way to feed back to folks what we're actually thinking, feeling, needing, and wanting. Okay, we've covered a lot of stuff in this podcast. All you have to remember is these 3 words: culture beats strategy. And the 3 themes that we've talked about are, what is it you believe to be true? What do you value? Reach out to me for a values cloud, or reach out to my team at farmfamilycoach.com. Be more than happy to get you set up with the value styles indicator. Number 2 is, how are you behaving towards each other? Are you encouraging the heart of your business? Are you appreciating each other? Are you developing and creating a high level of trust? Do you do what you say you will do? My hot buttons, as determined by the conflict dynamic profile that we do here also online, this is the guide, conflict dynamic profile. My triggers are people who won't speak to me, because if you don't speak to me, I have no idea to create solutions because I cannot read your mind. But my other hot button is people who are unreliable. If you tell me that you're going to do something, then I'm a quick start. I believe that if I've asked you to do something, it's already done in my head. So don't come back to me and say, oh, I forgot to do that, because that really is not helpful. Believe, behave, decide. That is the glue that holds your farm family together. And you get to choose how you want to encourage the heart of your business. I'm glad you've spent this time with me today. I'd like you to listen to this again, because my curiosity is, now that you understand that culture is the glue that holds your farm family team together, what are you going to do as a leader to make sure that it's a positive culture and that you are a compassionate mentor leader and that people are excited and really happy to get out of bed to join your farm team every day? And it's something they actually look forward to. I'm Elaine Fraze, Farm Family Coach, encouraging you to make good choices, to remember that it's your farm, it's your family, it's your choice. And you get to choose your path to create harmony through understanding. I'll see you next time. I've created an online membership called the Farm Family Transition Membership, Your Path to Harmony. It's a path to seamless farm transitions without the turmoil, legal complexities, and family fights. So sign up today for the founding membership waitlist, which is at elainefraze.com/membership. And if you can't spell Elaine Fraze, it's ELAINEFROESE.com. And again, it's at elainefraze.com/membership. And be ready to start after harvest. See you soon.